Simple questions for 100 people. Welcome to our experiment, the 100 Person Project. I am Bill Carell, and this is my investigation. I'm asking simple questions of 100 people as a research project to gather data from 100 beautiful human beings for the sole purpose of to see what actually happens across the interviews. Now, the questions are fixed, and all the interviews will remain consistent, with the variable being the actual participants themselves. It's as if I'm having you, Susan, come sit on my porch to share your ideas so I can learn about people. We're looking forward to what we will discover when we're complete, and we are very interested in the people, the process, and your particular story. So, with that said, why don't we go ahead and, well, could you tell us what your name is, your full name, Susan?
Yep. Susan Lasher Pribyson.
Susan Lasher Pribyson. And what is your favorite nickname that most people do not know?
I don't know if it's a favorite, but it's the most memorable. You ready?
I am.
Roly poly, daddy's little fatty waddy.
I wasn't ready. I can't picture you ever being like that. Were you?
I was. I gained some weight my senior year in high school, and then I went away to college and got the freshman 15, but for me, it was more like the freshman 25.
There you go.
And my dad used to sing that song to me, and I was like, that's so mean. But I remember it so well.
That dorm food wasn't really all that tasty, but it was filling and all
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Interesting. So, is that something that that persisted later on? That you would go back to with your dad every once in a while?
Yeah, we would laugh at it.
Yeah,
Because at first I was offended, like, that's so mean to say that to me, but it did inspire me.
I bet it did. Lit a fire, huh?
Because he's still my number one hero.
Yeah, good for you. So, and I do appreciate that because I feel the same way about my dad too. So, when did you first notice what color hair you had, Susan?
Oh God. I don't know. I would have to say probably not until I was in grade school. I don't remember like being that different or whatever. But then I remember going to the hair salon with my best friend who had dark hair.
Yes.
And I whatever haircut I got, I remember her coming saying that when I came out of the salon, she thought I was a boy. And I was like, oh, that's. I don't think that was the look I wanted, but I don't think I wanted anything. I was just doing what my mother told me.
My
But
good.
yeah, her name was Susan, and so there was the dark-haired Susan and the blonde Susan.
There you go.
It
All
was
right.
more like white back then, but
For sure. Sounds like you and CJ have that in common.
yes.
My family did too. All of my mom had 7 siblings, and all of them had white hair until they were about 8 or 9 years old.
Yep.
And
That's why I gave birth to 2 children, and the only thing I'd seen in baby pictures was that babies are bald.
yeah,
And I gave birth to these babies that came out with full head of black hair, and I was like, I think you you switched my baby.
yeah. Where are my babies, right?
Yeah. So that was a shock.
It's a wonderful story. So, what is your favorite thing to do to intentionally waste time?
um, Watch crime dramas.
Oh, really? You want to say some more about that?
um, yes, ever since you could binge watch on any platform,
Yep.
whether it's all the different Law and Orders or now I have to go back to old shows. Right now I'm watching Body of Proof. If I'm like just doing something, you don't have to really pay attention.
Right.
They
I mean,
all have the
that's
same
true.
formula.
Yep.
And I don't know why. I got addicted to it. I don't know if it's because I probably my favorite books are Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
So you're not as old as I am, and you may not remember it, but do you remember Peter Gunn and the FBI with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, those were great too. Hang on, and along with Perry Mason, there was plenty there to keep you
Loved
going.
Perry Mason. Loved it.
Well, they were much better back in those days. They always got things resolved in a half hour. It takes modern detectives a whole hour to solve that
Hour.
problem.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And it's never the first person they think it is. And they never
Yeah,
solve it to the very end.
all of a sudden, a stroke of brilliance comes across their face, and
Yep.
holy, yeah,
Exactly.
okay, that's cool. Yeah. All right, so that's a good thing to waste time. It sounds very entertaining, and I can just watch your face a little bit while you're talking about it. You have a good time.
Yeah, I do. Drives CJ crazy, but
Good, good. So, what is your favorite movie to watch alone?
that was a hard one. Because as I just said, if I'm wasting time or home alone, I'm watching crime dramas.
Right?
Um, but I would say my favorite movie that I could watch over and over again is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
I absolutely love that. That's why when I bought myself a 60th birthday present, a beagle,
Yep.
I named her Scout after Jem
Yep.
in To Kill a Mockingbird because she was just such a tough little girl.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
So
So,
yeah.
how old were you when you figured out what a chiffero was?
No idea.
I just remember that sticking out. I asked my parents, "What's a chiffero?" And they said, "I have no
Right.
idea what a chiffero is." Right? But and we'll just leave that out there as a mystery. You
Okay.
listeners at home, you can go look that up for yourself, and you're going to be so surprised. All right, I like this question especially for you, Susan.
Okay.
If you were to have an action figure made of you, what
Oh.
superpower would it have, and what colors would its uniform be?
Okay. Colors would be blue and green, like our truck, but it
Yep.
would have to have some pink in it because I love pink.
Yeah.
And superpowers. Um, I would think if I had a superpower, it would be something that was able to help nonprofits continue to thrive, something that was tied into helping the community or helping those that are less fortunate.
That's
Whether it's like, bing, here's $1,000, or
yeah. No, and
So
I'll tell you what, or Bing, here's $500,000, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah, I can picture you with the green suit, the blue cape, and the pink piping.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, with your hands on your hips, and
Yep, yep.
I get it. Next, not for profit, step right up. I love it. So, what did you want to grow up to be when you were 5 years old, Susan?
Cheerleader.
Oh,
Yes. My my we used to go back. My dad got both his undergraduate and graduate degree at Dartmouth, and we used to travel back for a football game every year.
yeah,
And back then, the Dartmouth side just had an Indian that did cartwheels when they got a touchdown, and across the field were cheerleaders. And so I literally used to take my clothes and make them into uniforms and go down and do these cheers for my parents and let me know what they thought. So,
that is so cute.
and on another platform, they asked that question once, what did you want to be? And do you think you ended up being that? And my answer is yes, because although I'm not cheering for a squad, I'm cheering for people.
Yes, you are.
My career has been, except for the food truck, helping other people. So I've always been that cheerleader for those that can't cheer for themselves.
Sure. And I would offer the food truck was more of the same, simply because everybody who ate your food went away a lot happier.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I loved about it, was the engagement with
Yeah.
folks. So
the other thing that I really appreciate about that, and I'm diverging from the questions for a moment, is just how neat it was to watch you adopt that role in your life after all of the other things that you've done and accomplished, and for you to enjoy doing it as much as you did. I kind of get that you enjoy doing anything you're doing, or you probably won't do it, you know?
That would be correct. Yeah.
Good, good. And so, standing on that, what is your greatest accomplishment?
Um, I had initially had one answer and then I changed that to my greatest accomplishment, I think, was getting my master's degree, 4.0.
Yep.
And the reason being, which that went on to a lot of other great accomplishments, when I was in the third grade, I used to get pulled out of class for testing with Dr. Howland. And I never really understood what that was about. My parents didn't say much about it. When I graduated with my undergraduate degree, they told me that in the third grade, it was recommended that I be put in special ed classes, or not. Back then, it was just one room, all
Right.
ages,
Yep.
and that I would not graduate high school and certainly never go to college. And if that didn't inspire me to work hard for my master's, prove them wrong.
And I'll tell you what, a lot of heroes have come out of a conversation with somebody that they really respected, who said, this probably isn't for you, it's probably
Yep.
going to break your heart. And, so don't throw yourself at it, because it's not going to end well, guys
Yep.
like Michael Jordan, so some people just need for you to say, bet you can't. Well, I
Exactly.
wasn't thinking about it, but now that you mention it, well, yeah, good for
Well,
you.
two things. One, I'm glad my parents never told me when I was younger,
Yes.
because it could have crushed me. And two, I think it was you, or who was it? Someone had that thing where it gave you your flower.
Yeah.
Was that you? And you were a lily?
Could have been.
And oh, no, it wasn't the flower. It was something else. The motto. And anyway, for when I played it, it said, if someone tells you you can't do it, then you go do it.
Right.
And so
And
that's it.
not sooner, right?
Right, right.
I like it. So, who is your favorite person to listen to?
Hmm. That was hard too. We kind of talked that through on the way to our networking meeting this morning. And I ended up with two different people in the news. And then I thought, can this be music? Does it have to be? Because my head immediately went to podcast or whatever,
Yeah.
um, or TV or whatnot. And so I'm going to go with Eric Church for music.
Okay. And
If
what in particular?
well, if I have to concentrate to do something, um, if I put on music,
Yes.
I'm more focused. I get more done. But Eric Church, I love his lyrics. I love his voice, and I love the fact that you can play him for 5 hours and never repeat a single song.
Wow.
And
Well, I have some work to do. I'm not familiar with Eric Church, but it sounds to me like it's my turn to go look something up.
okay, he's great. Other than that, I was going to go with two very different news people. Well, one's weather. Brett Baer.
Oh
I
yeah.
love listening. I love his tone of voice. I love the way he delivers the message.
Yeah.
Just has a great presence. And at the same time, I love Scott Haney when
Yeah.
he does the weather.
There you go.
Very different people, but those were my original answers.
Yeah. Brett always does a really great handoff from the five, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Something that the judge says, or that Gutfeld says, or
Yep,
whatever. And it
yep,
also gets a big laugh. So it's a nice warm opening to a lot of people. Just are very dry when they're reporting the news. He has a quiet personality, and he's very listenable. I completely agree with you.
yep, yep. He's great.
So let me see here. Number 10. Please complete this sentence. When I grow up, I'd like to.
Be a cheerleader.
Good for you. Some dreams never die. I like yeah,
That's what I wanted to be, and I was, but for many years. But it definitely impacted how I do the rest of my life. But
yeah.
that's all I ever wanted to be. I never wanted to be a fireman or a doctor.
Yeah.
I know, very strange, right?
Well, you know what? You want to be what you want to be. And
Yeah,
the neat part of it is that it's something, that sounds like it made you feel closer to your dad and those experiences going to the football games.
yep, yep.
Kind of wonderful. And that probably made it easier for you to tolerate when he was being a little bit naughty to you, when
Yeah.
you were so. All right, I like it. Not that that adds anything to the picture, but I do like it. So, what is the most important thing in life to you right now?
um, well, we're facing a very large transition, moving,
Yes.
and so assimilating into a new community. I would say is what's most important to me right now.
Yeah.
Um, had I not worked for a small nonprofit and joined a chamber meeting, which then led to all sorts of other networking meetings,
Yes.
I probably would not have had the plan I have. And that is the first thing I'm going to do is join the chamber.
Yep.
So I can get to know what the community is like, what businesses, get recommendations, rather than trying to figure it out on my own.
Right. You can't. You have to go experience the people and find a lane. Right.
Yep. When we moved a lot as a child, and my grandmother said to me, always remember, everybody had a life before you arrived. Everybody was doing fine before you arrived. It's not up to them to welcome you into the community. You need to join them. You need to be a joiner and don't wait for people to invite you.
That is
And great
that's
advice.
that's brilliant. Absolutely. And you know what? The whole notion of putting yourself out and getting your butterflies to fly in information when you're totally unknown and people
Right.
don't know who you are either, and now you kind of like have to go through that whole process. Uh, it's or you're just the kind of person that has learned how to meet new people and just have a ball at it.
Right. Yep. Yep.
I think that might be you.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sure you will do okay. So
Thanks.
So, what would you like to leave in the world after your life is done, Susan?
Is that sort of like be remembered for, or
Whatever it is for you.
I mean, I don't know. I think I want to be remembered for the people I helped, for the work that I did in the nonprofits, and which is a variety of populations. Um, but that's what I want to be remembered for.
Sure.
Is that work and probably for working with the challenges of both my children.
Yeah. Yeah. And those challenges turn out to be gifts, don't they?
Yes. Yes.
Completely get it.
Yep.
And it's wonderful. I mean, I just totally get it. Okay. And now for the baker's question. You know, between you and CJ, there probably aren't five other people who I know who know as much about cooking as you. But you always want to bring value to people, right?
Right.
And bakers are going to give you a 13th bagel or a 13th donut or whatever it is, right? So here's the question. What is the thing that most people misunderstand about you?
Um, as outgoing as I am, sometimes there is a shy side, and sometimes people mistake the shyness as being a snob. I've been told that before. Then once they get to know me, they tell me that, boy, at first, you were kind of quiet, and I just thought you were a big snob, and now I've got to know you and know you're not. But it's like, Just because you're outgoing doesn't mean you're always 100% confident.
Yeah, and I think that, in my conversations with a lot of different people, the folks that are regarded as always being up and happy, they know that they're not always up and
Up and
happy.
happy. Exactly.
There's getting up for the game. There's behaving in a way that you want to see modeled and to come back to you, and that sort of thing. So 100%, I could see that people who might be intimidated by somebody who's a thinker, consider you as someone to watch out for, right? I've never experienced you that way. I don't think I've known you as quiet and thoughtful, around me. Anyway, we've just laughed all the time.
Right, right. I think that was probably more when I was younger.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you got put into positions of authority, and folks were looking to you for answers, and you were looking to them for answers, and
Right.
sooner or later you worked it out, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So that's the end of the questions, for this inquiry. And I will ask you the same question that I ask all of my wonderful guests, and that is, do you have any questions of me?
Um, Having worked in research for a long time, what is your hypothesis for this study?
So it's going to be a little bit slanted because I started this whole idea when I was getting tired of listening to people talk about groups of human beings that behaved in particular ways or acted in particular ways because of how they looked, either gender or color or whatever. And
Wow.
that people were innately different than other people, but they were alike in terms of the group that they were in. And I thought to myself, that just doesn't seem right to me. That doesn't seem like, that human beings would be designed that differently because of how they appear. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And so what I was hoping to find is that people are not like ants and part of a group and indistinguishable from other ants. That every last person has a thoughtful side to them. They all have an inner beauty and a very unique specialness.
Yep.
And they're looking to fit in, from an appearance standpoint. I'm really hoping that people will come back to reality and realize that they have a unique and a very powerful responsibility to be the best person that they can, the best version of themselves. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yes.
So if I get some outcomes that seem to validate that idea, I guess I'll feel like I won. But when I learn other things, every once in a while, somebody comes up with something completely out of the blue that's unexpected. That's a gem. I mean, that's
Yep.
just a lot of fun.
Yep.
So that's my hypothesis in a nutshell, that I think people are all special, and I
Yep.
mean special in a unique, beautiful way. And that's why I describe all y'all as 100 beautiful human beings.
That's great. That's great.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate being selected to be a part of this.
How could I not? You're an amazing human being. You're a good friend, and I'm really very happy that we got together. And
Yep.
thank you for accepting my invitation. But
Oh, welcome. I feel very honored to know you.
you know what? The feeling is mutual, my friend, and I'm looking forward to great times together in the future. So, for our listeners at home, I want you to know that we became friends very quickly at a very rapid rate, having known each other more from afar than up close and personal. And I
Right.
recommend, based on my experience with Susan and CJ, go out and make some new friends and just see how far you can take it in a short period of time.
Yep. We're looking forward to it.
Well, thank you again, and thank you
Thank
all
you.
for listening one more time to our simple questions for 100 beautiful human beings. Bye bye for now.
Bye. Thanks, Bill.
My pleasure.
You've been listening to Simple Questions for 100 People, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can find every episode at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.